Very interesting. Everybody seems to be loving Endwalker, and I don't care about Fortnite. I'll talk about that later, but nobody cares about that. Huh. Now, to be fair, it might be because of trying to get in the server, but also... Interesting. So, at the very least, it looks like Endwalker became a big success and people are loving it. Either for the fact that, the content's good, or that Final Fantasy XIV, after having a disastrous launch, made a comeback and it's going very strong, as you can tell by the playing for 18 hours, either because they couldn't get into a server or, for whatever reason. So, yeah. It's very interesting to see this. So, anyway, welcome back, you guys. We got a few topics that I want to talk about, particularly Halo 5 and, or at least the Halo subreddit being really toxic right now, Jeff Keighley's response to the Game Awards, and actually some more about the Game Awards too. But let's jump into it, shall we? So to first begin, I do want to talk about Jeff Keighley's statement on Activision Blizzard at the Game Awards, because it's a little interesting, I definitely think, and something that is worth talking about. And after that, I do want to talk about Halo having to shut down its subreddit because, it's a little toxic up in there. It's a little bit of like plutonium-245 up in there. It's definitely a little bit toxic there. And then I do want to talk more about Activision Blizzard. And let's just say that they laid off a number of QA testers, and let's just say that it just doesn't stop for them. The amount of hate that comes towards them, it just never stops. But yeah, let's jump into it, shall we? So to first begin, I do want to talk about Jeff Keighley's statement on the Activision Blizzard controversy and what's going to happen at the Game Awards. So to first begin, Skill Up here mentions, I have a lot of respect for Jeff, but if he doesn't bring the same Kojima-Konami energy to this issue, which is infinitely more important, then that is going to be a big disappointment. The Game Awards is too powerful a platform to waste on trailers alone, and I 100% agree with Skill Up here. I remember when he was talking about Kojima Konami, he was like, yo, Konami, what are you doing? Why don't you let Kojima come? And I definitely think that was really, really important for Jeff to do. Even though, Jeff knew Kojima personally, and, it was a little bit more personal, and it wasn't necessarily just, calling out a company, I still think he could do the same for Activision Blizzard. Now, if you scroll down just a tad bit, Jeff has provided an update. Beyond its nominations, I can confirm that Activision Blizzard will not be a part of this year's Game Awards. Now, this feels like a non-statement to me, for the main reason that beyond its nominations, I can confirm that Activision Blizzard would not be a part of this year's Game Awards. I mean, it doesn't have a condemnation with it, right? Like, beyond its nominations, I can confirm that Activision Blizzard, it's not a part of this year's Game Awards, and until they fix the problem, we're not going to feature them anymore. Because if he said that, I'd be a little bit more happy with the statement, but at the same time, I wish he could have said more, at least in this tweet. Now, who knows, maybe he might do a Kojima Konami, and he's just waiting until it's too late for Activision Blizzard to do anything and be like, okay, I'm going to go off script here. What the hell you do in Activision Blizzard? And if he were to do that, big respect, massive respect. Now, of course, would I like him to do it a little bit earlier? Sure, but Activision Blizzard does have a lot of power, so I definitely think that Jeff Keighley not saying anything now might be the better move. But once the Game Awards comes around, and if he doesn't say anything more on that, saying like, our industry might have a few problems in Activision Blizzard, what the hell you guys doing, then, I don't know. So I hope that he does say something at the Game Awards and further condemns what happens at Activision Blizzard, but this might be the extent of his statement, and I don't know. We'll see in the future, though. And I will be streaming the Game Awards, I think, unless something massive happens, like finals and whatnot, and get me out of here. But, whatever. Now, to talk about Activision Blizzard, there's another controversy that's going around that isn't just about sexual harassment. As you can see here, Jason Schreier brings up, Activision's Raven Software, which runs COD Warfare, abruptly laid off a number of QA testers today. Others don't know if they're keeping their jobs. This is really painful. One just told me. And yeah, let's just say that Austin O'Brien said, I am gutted right now. My friends in QA at Raven were promised 4 months that Activision was working towards a pay restructure to increase their wages. Today, one by one, valuable members of the team were called into meetings and they were told they were being let go. These people were asked to relocate to Madison, WI, to work here. Now they are out of a job on January 28th. Our QA team does incredible work, but this would not only increase their workload but crush morale. If any other industry friends have positions open, please share them. If it isn't clear, this is bullshit. Yada 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 yada. And so yeah, I have to agree. Quality assurance is very well needed. In the case of like bug fixes, sometimes these QA testers will find some really odd bugs that won't make it into the game because they tell the developers to do the work. Some other times QA is just kind of ignored. In the case of like Cyberpunk and games that come out broken, particularly like GTA Trilogy and Cyberpunk 2077. I don't think it's quality assurance's fault because when you just play those games, they were just rough and they're just broken. And it's not like QA didn't find these and they didn't tell the developer. It's probably that they told the developers couldn't fix it, and so they try to make sure the game just ran, at least. In the case of like Cyberpunk 2077, they were just making sure that the game could run, and the GTA Trilogy actually worked. And so this is just painful to see, and I hope that all those QA testers get either better jobs, well, I hope they all obviously get better jobs, but also that they find jobs that they really like. Now, next up to talk about shitty companies, Take-Two has sent a trademark claim to Hazelight because of It Takes Two, forcing Hazelight to abandon any ownership of the game's name. No details yet whether the game will be renamed or how this impacts its sales and marketing. And let's just say that, I don't think highly of Take-Two. So obviously Take-Two can go shove it up their behinds. But also, I hope that the producer of the game, I forget his name, but let's just say he's legendary for his rant, saying that the Game Awards is better and that fuck the Oscars. I hope he comes over to the Game Awards and says, fuck you, Take-Two. Let me tell you, I want to see that shit happen. So I want you to make it happen. But also, I need Take-Two to fuck off. I also hope that Hazelight basically makes a stance and just basically says, no, we're not changing his name. Because, yeah, Take-Two, fuck them. They literally have so much power that they could attempt to do this, but I really hope it doesn't become successful. So now next up, I want to talk about how Sony's planning a new subscription service codenamed Spartacus. Weird name, but whatever. And it's going to take on Xbox's Game Pass, and it's pitched as a 3-tier service that will merge PlayStation Now with PS Plus. The highest tier could include PS1, PS2, and PSP games. And I think this is really interesting because for a while when Xbox Game Pass first came out, people were like, oh, people are not going to buy the games. They're just going to get Xbox Game Pass now. And then there were concerns that, oh, they're just going to keep pushing games onto the Xbox Game Pass and it won't be, good. It would be mediocre at best and there will be subpar games coming out. And then at the very least, in terms of bad games coming out, that hasn't happened yet. Or at least not particularly many bad games were added to the Xbox Game Pass. And it's not like a chain of mediocrity. There are some mediocre games once in a while, but some games are experimental. You just gotta let it happen. But Xbox is pushing out really good games onto the service, and it was dominating the industry. And now Sony making a response to it, codenamed Spartacus, I definitely think is good for competition because then it'll either make Xbox Game Pass either further their benefits or it'll make Sony, try to provide more to push Xbox to do more. And essentially, it's like competition breeds innovation. And so I'll be interested to see exactly what this 3-tier service is, because when you make it too complicated, that's when things don't make sense. With Xbox, it's either, you have the Xbox Game Pass subscription, PC subscription, or the Ultimate Bundle, where you could play both Xbox PC. And that is 3 tiers, but that's much simpler to me, right? Because then, you say, do I have an Xbox? Yes. Do I have a PC? Yes. Then I'll get the Ultimate Edition, because I do play on both. But, if you only play Xbox, I only need the Xbox Game Pass tier subscription. And it makes a lot more sense to me, because it's not like, in tier 1 you get this, and then tier 2 you get everything in tier 1, but then some of this, and, it seems more approachable, at least the Xbox's Game Pass 3 tiers. Now, if PlayStation says, oh, we're going to have our own online store for PC, and that's the 3 tiers, that'd be interesting to see, but I don't think Sony's going to do that. They're going to just have a, tier 1, it'll include this, tier 2 will include this, and tier 3 will include everything else, and PS1, PS2, PSP games. That would be interesting to see, but I think it'd be the wrong approach. But that's my take. Now, next thing I want to talk about is Halo subreddit having to temporarily shut down because angry gamers won't stop being toxic assholes. And as much as I think Kotaku's probably, how would I put it, really bad at describing things, I definitely think that the Halo subreddit shutting down because there were some toxic assholes in there is actually probably true in this case. And they were deserved to be called toxic assholes. Otherwise, I would think Kotaku is overreacting again. And also being a dick sometimes. But so, yeah, basically the Halo subreddit was blowing up and, yeah, let's just say it got very toxic. Now, there are criticisms of Halo Infinite's multiplayer that I understand, such as the microtransaction system, the experience system, and how that was going on, like how much experience you got per game. I get that. But did you guys really have to be toxic about it? I don't know. It didn't seem right. At least in terms of like the XP sucks. Microtransactions, you could, complain about it. And probably the easier thing to do is just not pay for it. Because this isn't loot boxes where they're hiding content behind loot boxes. You can either pay for it or you don't. And you can vote with your wallet and say, I don't want to pay for this because it is, predatory in nature and it's bad. But, yeah, I don't know. Being toxic, don't do that, you guys. That's not nice. Especially since most of the decisions are probably coming from the higher-ups and not the developers themselves. That's all I gotta say. So finally on the list of things that I want to talk about, Fortnite Chapter 3 has finally released. And let's just say that Fortnite still seems to be going pretty huge. And I think they dropped a completely new map. And, this is interesting looking at some of the gameplay and stuff. So yeah, definitely interesting to see that this is, happening again with like the whole chapter 2 thing, except without having to shut down the game and leaving just a black void for a few days, which was really interesting to see what they did that. But I definitely think that wouldn't work out this time, so they just had a finale event and then released chapter 3. So I definitely think that's interesting, and looking from the gameplay, it looks fun at the very least. Now I don't know if this is going to work out for those that are like competitive and whatnot because of how many changes they're making and whatnot, but hey, I don't know. But, so yeah, interesting to see that Fortnite's doing really well while Halo's getting somewhat slammed. And to be fair, I definitely think Fortnite has a more predatory microtransaction system. I don't know, because some of the prices on the skins were really huge. I don't know. And so I get now the like XP thing I get, but like the microtransactions, I don't know why they're getting slammed for that and Fortnite isn't constantly, unless they change the monetization system and I just am not aware of it. But so, hey, Fortnite's doing really well. I hope Halo gets less toxic gamers, and so, we'll see in the future what happens. But so yeah, that's the end of this week's news. Some pretty big things happened, particularly with Jeff Keighley's statement on Activision Blizzard in general, and It Takes Two, and Take-Two Interactive, and so it's interesting to see all these things happen, but I'm really excited for the Game Awards. I hope that first off, the director of Hazelight Studios basically goes on a fuck the Oscars moment again, but instead it fuck Take-Two Interactive. I want to see that. I also want to see Jeff Keighley just going off the rails and saying fuck Activision Blizzard, because that would be one hell of a treat. And yeah, I hope some big game reveals are revealed, such as, Metroid Prime 4 coming out, or at least, a date for its release comes out, Bayonetta 3 release date, and stuff like that in general. There's a lot of things that I'm hyped for, but, I'll have to see if I need to temper my expectations or if a lot of these things will come true. I do hope that the Game Awards does come out with a ton of things, but I'll be streaming it most likely, unless something happens. In 4 days, I think I'll have time to stream it, I think. If not, I'll put out a video describing what happened at the Game Awards and give my thoughts on it. But anyway, I hope you liked this video. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next week, either during the Game Awards or afterwards to describe what happened. We'll see.